Lyra is leaving her boyfriend, Kyan, after 2 years together because of his prenup demands. This is why Lyra, 34, chose to walk away from a relationship that felt one-sided, breaking up with her boyfriend, 34, because of a prenup. She's been with Kyan for about 2 years. Everything is going well, and they love each other. They've been discussing marriage, and he mentioned he would not marry her without a prenup. They discussed this in detail, and Lyra did not like what he proposed. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has lots of savings. After marriage, he wants her to move into one of the houses his parents own. Lyra told him she's uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house she has no ownership in, and he didn't understand. Lyra told him she'd prefer to rent a place together, or they can live temporarily in one of his parents' houses and look at property together, but he refused. He said he liked the houses his parents and he already owned. He said he would not buy other property. He said he would not sell any of his property to buy one with her. He told her if she wanted to own property, she could save up money by living in one of these properties and invest in one herself. The problem is, he would be entitled to half if they divorce, since her purchase would happen after marriage. He told her she could pay his parents' rent if she feels like she doesn't belong on the property. He told her she could buy half of the house they live in from his parents. The problem is, Lyra doesn't like the houses that he or his parents own. They also have a lot of stuff, and she feels like there's no space for her. She wants to look at houses, she wants to pick the place she lives in, and she wants to do it with her partner. She's made this clear to him over and over, but he won't budge. He earns more than her, and he has more assets than her, for sure. He made it clear he was afraid Lyra was a gold digger, and he wanted to protect himself and his family's assets from her, which she can understand. This whole thing has made Lyra feel very weird. This topic has come up before, and it has always made her feel very small. It makes her feel like all he cares about are his assets. It makes her feel like he wants her as long as she fits into the life he already built and doesn't care to build one with her. It makes her feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. Lyra doesn't. He basically told her that whatever money he earns now, he can spend, so he won't be investing in too much anymore. He expects their earnings and their savings after marriage to be split, which Lyra feels off about. Lyra's sure this is normal for some people. She's sure other people would be happy to be with someone who was well off. Lyra is not. She wants someone beside her, building a life with her, not someone who has built a life with his parents and wants her as long as she behaves and fits into his life, which is how he's been making her feel. So, she's leaving him. Lyra welcomes opinions on this. But, yeah, it's been too long that this has made her feel off about their relationship. She's protecting her peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. TLDR. Kyan and Lyra are talking about marriage. Kyan and his family are well off. He wants Lyra to live in a house she doesn't own and doesn't want to look at houses with her. Wants half of post-prenup assets. So Lyra's leaving. Relevant comments. Lyra adds context to the prenup talk during their relationship. No, he mentioned prenups very early, and Lyra would keep asking him about the details. But he would keep it very vague and assure her they would work it out when the time came. Lyra never asked him about his assets, and she never actually knew how much assets his family had. The only things she knew were from some of his one-off comments about certain assets, if he mentioned this tenant, or this thing they have to repair, etc. Lyra had also initiated these conversations. He mentioned wanting to live with her and work towards marriage. She figured then that time had come. This is when Lyra sat him down and asked him what he expected from her, what he wanted, and to clarify the conditions of any prenups he wanted to propose. He still tried to dodge her inquiry. It took so long for her to pull this information out of him. Lyra guesses she did wait 2 years, but marriage talks seemed like the right time to push him to discuss it. Update. So many things have happened. This is a bit of a rant, and Lyra knows she's missing parts, but she'll try to cover the important bits. Before Lyra starts, here's some important context. She has a stable and rewarding career, and though she doesn't earn as much as him, Lyra is very happy with what she can afford. Her parents have always taught her that women should be independent, and Lyra's taken that to heart. She lives below her means, which has allowed her to put aside money for savings and investments. A lot of comments have mentioned that Lyra should take the free rent and that it would somehow set her forward in life. But for her, giving up her sense of autonomy and control over her home, her safe space, is not worth the potential savings. Lyra lived with her parents and saved aggressively until she was 30, so she is lucky enough to be in a position where she can comfortably afford rent or a mortgage by herself. Plus, he expected the living situation to be permanent. Lyra would not move into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Would it be nice to save $2,000 a month? Sure, but most people pay rent, and Lyra is not an exception. If Lyra really wanted that, she could move back in with her parents, but, again, autonomy is very important to her. Also, if he's this stubborn now, Lyra doesn't see how this situation could be improved later after she already moved in. Lyra could also counter the prenup and make it so all her accumulated assets stay hers, or put in a clause that she'll be compensated for any children they have, or put that she'd get alimony, or at least have a roof over her head in case they divorce. But for her, that feels overly transactional. It also gives her the vibes that Lyra's going to be living with a roommate who she sleeps with and might have babies with, not a partner. Lyra prefers to feel like they're in it together. He can keep what was his, but she wants to build up what is theirs. Also, if everything is completely split, it'll open up a new can of worms. How will their expenses be split if Lyra's working and he's just chilling? What happens when they have children? He has money saved for them, but will Lyra get a say in how they spend that money? Lyra knows these can be worked out, but this is not the type of marriage she wants. She can't predict everything that will happen, and Lyra doesn't think she can capture it in a contract, and it's already been so heartbreaking for her. She doesn't want to go through more. Anyways, yada, 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 Lyra will just say that it felt like she was being stripped of her autonomy, stonewalled, and treated like a hostel. Okay, on to updates. So, Lyra told him she needed to end this relationship. She appreciated and truly enjoyed her time with him, but their financial values and the preferred married lifestyle just don't match. It was a quick and easy conversation, to be honest. Lyra expected the breakup to be a bit of a process, not a one-and-done thing, since their lives overlap a lot. Lyra's also in contact with a lot of his family, so, of course, during this whole time, a lot of them got involved, but blah, 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 not super relevant to updates. Talk with his parents. Okay, Lyra loves his parents. She had a great relationship with them. She would go over to their house. They would have food, chat, watch TV. Sometimes Lyra would go to the parties they host without her ex, if he was busy. A few days after her talk with her ex, Lyra went over to say goodbye. She didn't know if the prenup was family enforced or not, so Lyra kept it very general and mainly focused on how the situation made her feel and what she was looking for in a relationship. His parents were shocked when Lyra told them why she was leaving. Lyra's going to bullet point the rest. His parents really want grandbabies. However, her ex's younger brother and sister-in-law do not want kids. They were so happy when Lyra came into their lives and she found out she wanted kids. His parents had created their wealth together, with his dad being the major breadwinner for most of the relationship. His mom was shocked at what he was offering her, saying these aren't the values he was raised with. She had been effectively retired since almost 15 years ago, and she said Kyan's dad never made her feel uncomfortable because of the difference in earning potential. They told Lyra that they built their assets for themselves and their children. They said that includes whoever their children decided to share their lives with. They have many properties. However, they also have enough investments that they can live off of those. They told her their plan was to sign over a house of their choosing as a wedding gift, or sell a house and give them cash so they could buy a house they both wanted. As they got older, they planned to evenly divide their properties between her ex and his brother, since they wouldn't want to manage the properties anymore and live off investments. Kyan's mom said she would have made sure Lyra's name was on her ex's portion, especially since they were wanting kids. They mentioned investments will go directly into funds for grandkids after they pass. Maybe this is what her ex was referring to when he said his children would be set. A bit morbid, though. Ex's mom told her that the mother of her grandbabies would be taken care of, and she wanted them to be on equal footing while raising a family. To be honest, this conversation was kind of like a weight off Lyra's chest. She always loved his family and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left her confused and hurt. What they said fit with what she knew from her ex and them before. Lyra would be lying if she said she didn't start imagining this life. Lyra talked to her ex again. She'll bullet point this too. Basically, he told her his dad had joked before about how he hoped him and his brother would not find gold diggers, and that's where that comment came from. He felt responsibility to protect his parents' assets since he didn't feel entitled to them, So, by extension, Lyra wasn't entitled either. In his culture, sons carry on the family line. So he felt he had to keep his assets in the family line, which Lyra's not part of, but any sons they had would be. Most of the assets he's worried about are under his parents' name, and he had never asked for their opinion on what to do. He just did what he thought he should be. He also said he isn't that well off, and that his assets shouldn't come between them. This is still confusing to Lyra. Isn't this whole thing because he was well off and wanted to hold on to what he had and not create a shared lifestyle? Lyra thinks maybe he meant he didn't own much, and most things actually were under his parents' name. He felt he was punching above his weight with her and was scared Lyra would leave him. He was afraid Lyra was with him because of his finances, since that was the only thing he had more of. Whereas, he said, Lyra is intelligent, hardworking, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. He was scared about moving forward with the relationship, but instead of communicating, he became defensive. To Lyra, it seems like he said and did things because he was feeling deeply insecure. He had made a couple passing comments before about Lyra being more beautiful than him, or how she's more hardworking, etc., but Lyra had always taken them as compliments, not self-deprecating comments towards himself. He's such a caring, funny, and intelligent person, just in a different way than Lyra. Also, Lyra knows he's not as confident as he comes across, but she had no idea that his insecurities ran this deep. He also apologized over and over about how he didn't mean to make Lyra feel like an outsider to him and his parents and insisted that he wanted to share a life with her. He said his insecurities and fear got the best of him, and he didn't handle it well. He had taken advantage of Lyra's patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. It broke her heart because Lyra thinks all this could have been avoided. They've been through this song and dance before, many times, where he would feel some sort of way, then act out as he's processing it. Until now, Lyra always stayed through it, and they moved on, but it's never gone on for so long. But Lyra guesses the issues they've faced before were smaller compared to mapping out their whole lives. Lyra's pushed him to seek individual counseling, and they've attended couples counseling together, but she can't force him to sit and identify his emotions or employ the tools they were taught. The prenup conversation happened over a long period of time. He had so many chances to pump the brakes and reflect on what he was saying and simply just listen to Lyra, but he didn't. He then sat in front of her saying that everything he said before was not what he meant. He said he would be happy to take care of her and their future kids. They could buy a house together or rent if Lyra wanted to, because now he wasn't scared about creating a life together, completely opposite to everything he had been saying. But how unsettling is it that he seems so completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful words he previously said and was okay with placing Lyra in a very unequal position in the relationship, despite Lyra continuously trying to articulate what she wanted and how he was making her feel. He didn't even consider her side over months. Lyra knows she has a good deal with what his parents are offering, and she knows him, and she gets along super well, but she's not marrying his parents. Lyra can't have his mom with them during every argument or life decision they take. Thinking back, she can count on one hand where they've run into issues and he was able to address it without acting up. He's such a nice guy, but Lyra can't be his garbage bin every time he needs to sort out his feelings. It's already worn her down. He's a grown man. He's intelligent and intuitive. He's had 2 years to learn how to communicate with Lyra, and he's not. Lyra honestly can't tell if what he said to her is genuine, or coming from his parents, or coming from a fear of losing her. Lyra could give him the benefit of the doubt again and move forward with the relationship, as she's done in the past, but Lyra's tired. Lyra thinks this is a fixable problem, but she also has not seen any improvement since they started dating. If anything, this prolonged experience has made Lyra feel it's gotten worse. Lyra will not make the mistake of investing in a man because of what he could be instead of who he is. If the last few months are a test to how he handles stressful situations, Lyra can only take things as they are and assume they won't change. This whole thing has left her sour. Lyra doesn't need too much, but she does expect to be treated with love and support, even during times of disagreement. She cannot just forget the feelings and words Lyra felt and heard over the last couple of months. Lyra can't just unhear and unknow that he is afraid she's a gold digger. That was just one of many comments that really hurt her. Lyra thinks life will have a lot more ups and downs, and she cannot imagine what kind of difficulties they will face if this is how they communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, Lyra's still choosing to walk away. Very different from leaving because of a prenup, but it is leaving nonetheless. And to be honest, this hurts more. Lyra knows it will hurt for a while, but she prays she'll be avoiding heartache and complications in the future. Who knows? If it was meant to be, maybe they'll find their way back. For now, Lyra's told him and his family she needs space and time. She knows that it seems like Lyra's giving up a lot, but Lyra sees there are things she can't put in a post. Lyra actually wrote the above quite early, but she didn't post because it didn't feel like it was over. But now, after this time, Lyra knows it is. It's been tough, and it's only been a couple months, but Lyra's sure she made the right call. It's tough watching everyone coupled up and having children, but it is what it is. Lyra's proud of herself for leaving, and she's slowly healing. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and DMs. Sorry Lyra couldn't get back to everyone, but she appreciates you all. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.